Hey there, I'm Dan, the self-proclaimed Lonely Rocker. Thank you so much for joining me today. So a first for the channel, at least a brand that has never appeared on my channel before, and that's Mooer. And I appreciate they reached out to me because they've got a brand new device called the GS1000. This is their latest amp modeler multi-effects pedal, and I'm dubbing this one the next one because it has built-in amp capturing. That's something that more devices are starting to do. I love doing it. I've got a bunch of real amplifiers here, so excited to try that. So what I'm gonna do, since I just got this yesterday and it's coming out in a couple of days, so I wanted to launch this on launch day. Just first impressions. My first impression with the brand, my first impression with this device. I'm gonna try creating my first preset, my first amp capture, and just give you my honest first impression. I'm not being paid for this video. As I said, they did supply it, but no cash has changed hands, so as always, it's gonna be my honest opinion. And to facilitate some hopefully not terrible riffs today, I've got a couple of Schecter guitars. If you've been following along, I'm actually evaluating some Schecter guitars, one of which is going to stick around, and that will be a standalone video coming up. So if you want to follow, like and subscribe, and you can stay up to date on that. Anyways, we're talking the Mooer GS1000, so let's get into it. So there's a little sampling of some tones from the GS1000. I'm going to reserve judgment till the end of the video, but something that I'm always curious about, the interface, how you interact with the device, ultimately, how do you build presets? So I'm going to give that a try and see how that feels. Building presets on the GS1000 is super easy. The combination of a touchscreen and physical buttons makes the device super easy to navigate. It kind of has its own look and feel, but compared to the other modelers I have, I'd say it most resembles the Quad Cortex type of thing. The companion application makes it even easier. Simply hooking up the GS1000 to your computer via the USB-C connection, and you have full control of the modeler via your computer. All right, now for the moment that I've been waiting for, and that's amp capturing. I want to see what that process is like on this device, and ultimately what counts the most is how does it sound. So to do that, I've got this glorious Tube Workshop Lueless. I did a full video about this. If you missed that, I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. But I'm going to capture a tone here from the Lueless, and then I'm going to do an A/B, and we'll see how the two compare. Setting up for my first capture of my Tube Workshop Lueless went pretty smoothly. First up, the GS1000 prompts you that they absolve themselves of any responsibility in the case you blow up your tube amp. The standard rules apply here, people. Make sure your tube amp is always connected to a load. The GS1000 does not have a built-in load. From there, the GS1000 shows you how to connect your gear, and then you can capture your amp. I chose the preamp capture. This assumes your amp has an effects loop. I didn't explore any other capture methods as this was my first test, though this just may have impacted my results. Stick with me to find out. Stop the presses. All right, clearly those sound radically different. Now I want to explain why. This is a first impressions video, and there was a part of me that wanted to sort of dig deeper into this to get them closer, to present how close, well, to see if this thing can get closer. But as this is a first impression video, I thought it would be more valuable to share this process with you, because if you pick up this device or something similar, it takes time to sort of get through it, figure out the nuances of any device, really. Now, sometimes when I'm doing demonstrations here, reviews, if you want to call them that, sometimes I get the products weeks in advance of a launch. It gives me a chance to really master that piece of equipment and then present it to you in its best light. I like doing that because I want to push the limits of any product that I get to really show you what it's capable of doing. But sometimes that sort of masks the process of how you get there. Maybe it makes it look too easy. So I decided I wanted to keep this in and explain why I think it is so radically different. Now, first of all, I think it's a good capture. I think it sounds really good. In this example, it sounds a lot warmer. But if you really look at the setup, the way this is set up, it's taking the send from my amplifier. So taking the send, it's coming out of the preamp. It's a preamp capture. It's not capturing the whole amplifier. It's bypassing the power amp. When I did the reamp, it comes into my load box, which is taking the output of the amplifier, which does include the power amp in addition to the preamp. So right then and there, the signals are going to be different. The characteristics are going to be very different, and they'll never match. So I need to explore this a little further to see if I can take the line out from my load box and go straight into here and not use the whole preamp method where we're taking the send out. But I think that was a really good exercise. Now, like I said, I think it's a really good sounding capture. Now, when I put the same cab IRs, they were very, very different tones, but this one was a lot warmer. If we get into sort of power amp emulation, all those sorts of things, just so many different options. But I think it's a valuable lesson here. And the reason why I decided not to mask it and really just sort of reveal to you, as this is my first impression, it's the only capture I've done, and this is what I came up with, and this is what I learned. So keep in mind when you're doing your own captures, if you are picking up this device, it's a really simple process. It takes you through the steps, step by step here. But if we're looking to get an exact capture, what does that actually mean? How are we setting up our amplifiers? What is the full signal chain? Everything matters, and it affects the tone. And this was a good example of that. And hopefully that sort of sheds some light on the process of capturing an amplifier if you're looking to get into something like this. So before I render my verdict, why don't I give you an overview of the different features on the Mooer GS1000. The GS1000 is Mooer's first foray into a multi-effects amp profiling device and introduces an update to Mooer's proprietary sampling technology. The device can store up to 120 captures. The 4-foot switch design with multi-switch combinations offers an easy and flexible way to control the pedal. Mooer offers two versions of the GS1000, one with a built-in lithium battery that costs about $60 US more. The GS1000 launches with 350 effect modules, a cab IR loader that can hold up to 50 third-party IRs with resolutions up to 2048 samples, and an AI-driven master EQ. And there's a really cool tuner that's super easy to read. The built-in groove station offers a looper and drums that makes this a fun practice device. And it is also a 2-in, 2-out audio interface that supports mobile recording and live streaming. Around back, it has good connectivity with a stereo effects loop, expression pedal jack, headphones, MIDI, balanced outputs, and a microphone input with phantom power. That in itself is a big bonus. You can capture your amps with your favorite condenser mic. Well, this concludes my programming day. Well, I guess you want to know what I think about this thing. Well, the funny thing about the making of this video is I pulled it together pretty quickly, which is not something that I typically do. I take a lot of care and pay a lot of attention to the fine details and the nuances. That's just what I'm all about. So this was an exercise for me, and I think it gave me a good view, sort of that real first impression of a product. I want to be as genuine as I possibly can. I just found out what this thing costs, like literally a minute before I'm now recording this last segment of the video. And they seem to have two versions. There's a battery operated version and the regular one. So it hovers between 519 and 579 US dollars. So let's say 550, whatever. We're talking about the third of the price of a Quad Cortex. Now, I'm not making a direct comparison here because it sounds like I need to do a head-to-head. Perhaps I'll do a head-to-head with the Quad Cortex and see how some of the tones on here compare to something 3 times its price. But we're talking about a device that does onboard modeling. You don't need a computer. You can do everything right here. And that's a very, very interesting option to have on something that's well below $1,000 in US dollars. Talking $550, $570. That's pretty incredible. It's a very easy device to use. The interface is very friendly, very familiar, drag and drop type of thing. You can do it right on the device. You can hook it up to your computer and use the application. It's almost the same. I mean, with the touchscreen and plus you've got the dials on here, just makes it really easy to use. The tones sound pretty good. I think at first listen, I found some stuff in there that sounded good. Now, I did go through presets, and presets aren't always the best way to really know what the amps sound like. You can pair it with your own cab IRs and things like that. Again, this was a first impression. I wanted you to hear what the device offered. All those tones that I shared with you at the beginning were not processed. They were just straight off the device. I used it as an audio interface to the USB-C connection to my computer and recorded it direct. And what you heard is what I'm hearing here. So I think as a starting point, a lot of good effects on here, a lot of different tones. You can capture your own amplifiers, getting deeper into what's the best way to do that. Well, I'm going to keep pushing forward with this device and figuring that out. But for something that costs, under 600 US dollars, you have all the amplifiers in here, capturing capability, a ton of effects, a lot of different options in the way you can build your presets. You can use it as an audio interface. You've got the built-in phantom power with the microphone input. I've got more expensive modelers that can't even do that. That's just a really great feature to have on something that does not cost a lot of money. So without hesitation, and I still have a lot of work to do to really get to know this device, but on first impression, if you were getting started, you have a very, very powerful device here. You can record with this thing. You could, start a little recording studio with this as perhaps as a simple audio interface. Of course, you're not going to get all those features, but as a device for recording your guitar for playing live. I haven't even explored that because I'm a studio guy, but I think you get good value for the money here and a surprising number of amazing features on something that actually is not a lot of money. So anyways, there's my thoughts on the Mooer GS1000. I'm pleasantly surprised, and definitely I'll dive deeper into this. If you have any questions or things you'd like to learn about the GS1000, why don't you let me know in the comments? I'm going to think about things I can do as a follow-up for this device, other comparisons that I can do. I can do shootouts with my other modelers, a lot of things I can do. But at its price point, I don't have anything here in the studio that will match up perfectly. So anyways, any thoughts, any questions, that's what the comment section is for. But if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. And while you're down there, well, I do cover a lot of modelers on this channel, so I'm gonna pop a video right here if you wanna check that out. And remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll, and I'll catch you in the next one.